Welcome back to another episode of Timeout with Tackle What's Next, where we chat with athletes and executives about how sport has made a difference and changed the course of their lives and the lessons they've learned in life outside of the game. I'm your host, Danielle Berman Ruiz. I am the CEO and founder of Tackle What's Next, where we work to change the narrative of life after sports. And I'm so excited to have you guys here with us tonight. Tonight we are talking with Aswand Cruickshank. Aswand is a published author, four-time published author, podcast host, and entrepreneur. And he specializes in new innovative ways around implementing teamwork. So he grew up actually right down the street from me in his hometown of Silver Spring, Maryland, and he played football there as well as at Stony Brook University, where he graduated and started his work as a fitness consultant. He also became a certified college scout. He spent multiple seasons as a high school football coach, and it was during this time that he really found a passion for teaching and inspiring other people. So over those next few years, working as an entrepreneur, he authored his first book, Swiftly, Your Guide to Innovative Teamwork. And he started a podcast, which is still going today, called Move Swiftly, which further educates business owners around that concept of innovative teamwork. He's a public speaker, so he goes and hosts in-person and virtual workshops for businesses that want to create more sales opportunities. And he has another book, Make Your Move, that helps sales leaders teach their teams what and how to sell effectively. Now, on top of all that, he also has been working with athletes in this new world of NIL. We're in the 2-year anniversary month right now in July, so I'm excited to talk to him today about all of this and his journey, and I know you guys are all going to really enjoy this conversation. So I'm going to get Aswand up on the screen here, and we are going to get started with this conversation. Thank you guys so much. Hello.
What's up, Danielle? What's up?
How are you?
I'm doing good. I've been really pumped. Appreciate the intro. I've been really pumped about this all day, so I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Oh, same here. I'm so excited that you came on the show. Thanks for giving us some time. I know what we just talked about, you got a lot going on, so I'm excited to dive into it and learn more about how you got into it all. So let's start from the beginning. I talked about you played football here in the Silver Spring, Maryland area.
Yes, sir.
Was that your
DMV, baby?
Yeah, DMV all the way, And was that your first sport? Did you play other sports before football? Like, tell me about that first sports experience for you.
That was my first and only sport. My first and only sport. That's it. I was football, played a little bit of football. That's it.
I love it. And what was it like to take that all the way to college, right? Like, I mean, was it as hard and as like determination required, all those skills that people say it is? Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, it was very rewarding for me because, you got to understand, football is where I got my acceptance. I never was accepted out of any other circle but the football field. The classroom, the teachers wouldn't know I couldn't pronounce my name. I would get teased all the time about how funny my name was, and I never really found a group of friends outside of the football field. So football for me was where I got my acceptance. Now, the situation with me, like 99% of the people that are probably listening to me right now, is I wasn't NFL good. I was a good player, but I was not NFL good. So I was never going to be good enough to play the game for a check. So I had to, it's one of those things where it's going to happen, but you don't want to have to admit it to yourself.
Yeah.
But over time, the day is going to come where, hey, I got to, like you say, tackle what's next. I got to figure out what's going to be next. And when I decided to pick a college, a lot of that was going on in my head. A lot of the idea of, look, if I was going to be an NFL guy, I wouldn't have to work so hard to walk on at a Division I school like Stony Brook. I would have the coaches laying things out for me. So, it was a lot of grit, a lot of determination, but the word is very humbling, very humbling to know, I put so much time into this game, and just like that, high school's over, boom, you're kind of seeing the end. So.
Yeah. No, and I want to dive into, how you continue to grow outside of football. But do you feel like there's an impact that football made on you outside of the sport itself in terms of some of the skills that you're using now?
1000%. I mean, it taught me, I kind of jokingly say this all the time, but it taught me my right and left. All right. I learned my right and left on the football field. I know, even I was on offense, I was an offensive guard, and I know the two back, when it's an even number, the two back goes to the right hole on a 24 dive. If it's 27 dive or 25 dive, he goes to the left side, right? When it comes to the life lessons I've learned, I really do believe I'm probably the luckiest man in the world, because I played for two programs in particular when I was growing up in Maryland. Played for two programs in particular that you can Google right now, and they're nationally known organizations. And I played with them at that infancy stage. So we were just becoming nationally known, and there was a lot of things that the coaches were doing from an innovative standpoint. Like, the reason I talk about innovative teamwork so much is because the coaches had to do things to help us, put certain people in position. I mean, God forbid, they actually put me at fullback one time and I had me carry the ball, right? So the point is, they had to do things that were going to give the team the best opportunity to win. And it wasn't about, even though we did have some great players, we were competing against teams that had some, like, I mean, DeMatha. I mean, they had some.
Yeah.
They have some men, they have some grown men.
Yes.
So we had to do things that were going to at least get us to make the game close. And that's where a lot of the lessons I learned go way beyond football, just how you compete when you're outmatched. But hey, you're not going to just fold in the towel. You're not going to just quit. You're going to go out there and compete your ASS off. And I do. I know this is Instagram. I got to keep the swearing to a minimum. So
no, that's great. And I mean, I think it's super valuable to hear from your perspective too, because I think a lot of folks might see something as, I didn't make it to the league, right? As this was a waste of time, or I didn't make it and now I wasted my time and effort. It sounds like what you're saying is like, I felt so lucky to be there because I was learning from these incredible people, and now I have the skill set to tackle whatever else I'm doing. Can you tell me, did you have that mindset at the time? Was that something you adopted as you were transitioning into like college student and thinking about your future?
Well, you got to understand, I played with NFL talent. Like, the reason a lot of the guys or a lot of the people that you mentioned think it's a waste of time is because they've never had the opportunity to see NFL talent up close. I saw NFL talent up close. I was a senior when Jelani Jenkins was a sophomore, and I remember seeing him. This wasn't even football stuff. He's taking the ball and just yamming it with two. We were just playing around in the basketball court. He's taking the ball and yamming it with two hands as a sophomore. Easily the best athlete in the entire school. And my coaches would tell me, okay, that's what the NFL looks like. He ended up going and playing for the Gators and then went on to the Dolphins and stuff like that. So when you're up close to it and you realize that these guys are human just like us, you don't walk around with this bitter taste in your mouth feeling like, oh man, I didn't make it, so I'm such a failure. You met the guys, you know that they're human. They're, again, they're not a-holes. They're guys that just work hard just like you. And what I took from that, the main thing I took from that was understanding that work ethic, hard work, and just doing the best that you can, and whatever your ability is going to be enough. You make it to the league, or you don't make it to the league, it's going to be enough if you're putting your all out there for somebody.
Yeah, I love that perspective too, because I don't think, you're right, a lot of people aren't around the talent that they're trying to be at, and when you see it, you might be like, all right, this guy works 10 times harder than I do, or he's just naturally more talented, even though I work 10 times harder than him. I see what I'm up against. So I appreciate that perspective. And, I know you now are working in entrepreneurship. You're helping athletes in NIL. You've written multiple books. How did you go from, all right, I'm at Stony Brook, I'm walking on the team, I know I need to figure out what I'm going to do. Like, how did you get to where you were starting all these different things? Did you have mentors? How did you know where to go? Or what was that process like, trying to figure out that next chapter for you?
It started with setting my goals high. Right after college, at least during college, the 2 years I was at Stony Brook, I was a walk-on, and I felt the pain of selling myself too short. Because Stony Brook, I made Stony Brook like a dream school because of the Division I aspect to it. But when I got there, to be 100% honest with you, at least when I was there, I was wondering, the Division II school that I played at my freshman year, I played at a Division II school. I was wondering if that D2 school could beat Stony Brook. All right, the talent level was not that far off. It would have at least been a close game. I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you, at least been a close game. So when I got to Stony Brook, I wasn't a huge fan of how things were working, because you get D2 guys who were just as talented as these Division I guys, but these Division I guys are on full scholarship, not paying a cent, and they still don't pick up their books. A lot of them didn't take advantage of the opportunity. A lot of them were walking around as if they were playing for Alabama, or if they had an NFL contract waiting for them, and it's like, you're not that good. All right, you're really just not that good. There were some junior college guys that all of a sudden, because you went to a junior college and now you got a full ride, you think you're the SHIT, like you think you're the man. So after Stony Brook, I was determined to never sell myself short again. Never set the bar too low. I was never going to make that mistake. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to coach in the NFL. I wanted to be an NFL head coach. I wanted to take it all the way up top, be the next Vince Lombardi, the whole thing, right? And there was this thing called an NFL lockout that happened that was going on.
Great timing.
Right? Yeah, great timing. So I was like, okay, I don't know about this dream, because as much, at that age, you want to meet people, you want to get mentored, you want to get an internship, you want to be somebody's coffee go-getter. I mean, I remember reaching out to people. It's like, hey, can I pick up somebody from the airport? I got to do something. Well, no one's working in the NFL right now, man. No one's working in the NFL.
Oh,
so
God.
I decided to take it was a all commission position with this company named National Scouting Report, in which I would be a scout, a certified scout, all commission work. And I'd go to high school games and I'd watch just any high school players so you can play, and try to offer them like basically the third party service, like that agent type person. Now, because of that, it was all commission. I had to go get a job that was going to pay me every 2 weeks. So I decided to work overnight at this gym. And then I'm going and recruiting athletes, working overnight at the gym, recruiting athletes. And I said, if I was to create a gym in which all athletes just knew to come to, it would make my life a whole lot easier. And that's when I started my own company, gym44.com, where coaches could just go in and post tryouts, and players can come and request and reserve. So that's still, everything kind of started from that, me deciding to do that. Because when I started that, I got tired of trying to get coaches to get it. I just got annoyed with it. So I tried to start my own team, named the Ocean City Sharks. And that's when I lost everything, fell flat on my face, car got repossessed, phone cut off, just lost everything. But I was able to bounce back because I moved into, here's what happened. After I let go of that, I decided to work at a gym and sell gym memberships. And there was a situation, there was one night where it was really, really cold, and I realized what I was willing to do for football and fitness. And it's cold. You know how it gets in Maryland. And I said, you know what? I was 25 or 26. I said, Florida sounds good. Florida sounds real good. Florida sounds real good. So at that point, I was coaching high school. I was volunteer coaching in high school. And I said, after the season, I'm out. I'm going to Florida and just hitting the reset button on life. And that's when I finally got the opportunity to work for the Dolphins Foundation. I was one of the top sellers there. And I was also a trainer at this gym named 9 Round. And that's when the first book, like the idea for getting my first book out, was starting to hit me, because I got the position that when I got to the Dolphins, it felt a little bit like Stony Brook, where I put so much into being at this pro team, but it just wasn't, when you're making your own money and you're making your own moves, there's no institution that could really give you what that feeling, you know what I'm saying? So
Totally.
that's what started to happen. And I decided to join a group called Toastmasters to develop as a public speaker. And I gave a great speech, and the feedback was, look, you got to get your own book. You got to get your own intellectual property. So when I heard that from seasoned speakers, it was all entrepreneurship. So that's really how things really started to take off.
No, I appreciate you sharing that and talking about kind of the ups and downs of it, because I think a lot of times we hear about the success part of entrepreneurship, right? And the fact that it's like, yep, it's amazing. Look what they built. And we don't always hear about the journey and the downs that come with entrepreneurship every day, right? Even if you're at the top, there's going to be tough days for you.
Exactly.
And there's no off switch. So I think it's great that you were able to reset and kind of grow and learn from some of those things. And I think it's great to share those stories, because I don't think we hear enough about I don't want to say negative side of entrepreneurship. It's just a natural part of it, but just the challenging side of it. It's not like sitting at home on your computer being like, made $1 million overnight, guys. I can set my own schedule and go to Ibiza now. It's all good. Like, no, it's very different from that. And I think we glorify entrepreneurship and some people want the glory and not the work. So I appreciate you talking about all the work you were putting in and all the jobs you were doing and all that went into it.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, I think, that's misconceived, you know, around the word entrepreneurship even.
Absolutely, because we have this thing called social media and everything
Yep.
so immediate that so many people don't understand the real work that goes into creating a lifestyle that you imagine. I mean, listen, it is a lot of stuff you got to do. You got to sleep it, you got to eat it, you got to breathe it, you got to commit your very being all the way through. Like you know it is like when it comes to what you're doing with Taco What's Next, you got to eat this thing, man. You got to breathe it. You got to love it to the point.
Yeah.
This is what I do. This is what I do. It becomes who you are.
Totally. And I think that ties back into being an athlete too, in a way. It's so relatable to the fact that it's a very similar mindset of like, if you want to be successful, you have to be all in. And so I wonder how you feel like your athlete experience and really setting the bar high prepared you for this. And what advice maybe would you give to athletes who want to get into something outside of their sport in entrepreneurship or you know, anything kind of big movement that they want to create? Do you have any advice for someone that's like, I would love to, I'm ready to put in the work, but I just don't know where to start?
2 words: be yourself.
I love it. I mean,
be yourself. I can't simplify it anymore. I say it and it sounds simple, but it's not an easy thing, especially being a former athlete. Okay, I get it. We look up a great deal to the Patrick Mahomes. We've been taught, it's been in our head to look up to these and glorify these athletes, glorify the ones that you see on TV. I get it. I've been there. My room was filled with posters of NFL players, NBA players, like I was a huge Iverson fan, all that. But you've got to be yourself. All right. I know it's very challenging to do, but you got to be yourself. You got to go out there and you got to make sure that you're showing up as authentically as humanly possible. When you show up as authentically as humanly possible, people will feel it on you, and you'll know right away whether you're for them or you're not for them. Even if you're not for a certain person, that's better off, because you do not want to make the mistake I did and waste your time with people who really are trained to ignore all the hard work you're putting in. Like, for example, I was at Stony Brook. I was a walk-on. I was not the typical recruit that they really cared if I was there or not. Now, I still made the travel squad. I still did what I had to do, and I still worked hard to, get where I was at. But at the end of the day, their interest was in scholarship guys, and at the time, what happened was Hofstra cut their program, so they were interested in bigger programs. They were interested in guys that were messing up at Alabama, and hopefully they transferred to Stony Brook and all that. So the guys that were walking on, they were just, all right, well, they're here, happy to have you, but at the end of the day, you're not really our concern.
I appreciate that advice because it is simple, right? But again, simple doesn't mean that it's easy to do. And I think a lot of people say be yourself or your authentic self, but that takes a lot of work to be your authentic self and to take the time to explore, like, who am I and what do I like, and what people around me, what person around me do I vibe with, and who do I want to work with? It takes a lot of time. And so I appreciate that advice because I think it's really encapsulates, it's a simple phrase, but encapsulates kind of a lifelong journey of self-discovery that all of us should be making. And I think it's so fitting that it's, again, not just about being an entrepreneur, but it's about figuring out what you want to do with your life. Maybe it's not entrepreneurship. You won't know unless you understand what you want and who you are. And then I would just add to that, like, be yourself, and also, like, take action. If you're just sitting on the sidelines saying, gosh, I wish someone would come to me and offer me this opportunity to start a business, like, that's not how it works. Like you said, you went out there and you were like, all right, I think this gym is a great idea. Let's start it. Let's get it going. And mistakes are going to be made, but if you're never going to learn, you're never going to get it going if you're waiting for the perfect moment and the perfect opportunity. So it's twofold, but I think the first part is you have to know what you want, and that's, knowing who you are. So I appreciate that advice.
It goes hand in hand. So if you really are being yourself, and this is the test, you will take action. If you're being yourself and you're going out, you're trying it. Like, I remember starting Gym 44 and hearing so many people tell me, oh, that doesn't make sense, or this doesn't work. None of that mattered. I went out and I still took action. I believe it was Mark Cuban who said, follow your effort, not your passion. When you put effort, you'll go out and see. It won't be enough for someone to tell you, oh, that's a bad idea. It won't be enough for someone to tell you it's a good idea. You're going to go out and see if it's a good idea. You're going to go out and get the answers yourself by taking action. That's what you're going to do.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I want to talk about the podcast. I want to talk about the work you're doing as a speaker and the clients on the athlete side that you're working with around the NIL side, excuse me.
Yes.
So tell me about the podcast. Like, what's the goal with the podcast? What are you trying to do? And why podcasting? Tell me why.
So the podcast came out very kind of simultaneously with the first book. The name of the first book is Swiftly, Your Guide to Innovative Teamwork. And the acronym for Swiftly is Skilled, Well-Informed Front Team. So you get your skilled workers, which are like your DBs, your running backs, receivers. They've made great athletes in any sport, just like a great salesman or a great carpenter or a great cosmetologist. Then you get your well-informed athletes, or well-informed workers, which is WI, quarterbacks, tight ends, linebackers, the people that are responsible for putting the skill positions in the right situation. And then you get your front team workers, the big boys, the offensive linemen. You don't really care about them unless they gave up a sack or holding, something like that. It's the same as in your working world. You only care about the people who are cleaning up the bathrooms and cleaning up the windows. You only care about them when something is dirty or, you get something in your eye, whatever it is, right? So I had that one word, Swift. And I have to finish out the word, and this is how it all kind of came together. I was watching Clemson versus Ohio State. It was the semifinals playoff game, and this is when Trevor Lawrence was on the team. And Trevor Lawrence, I mean, the dude, like, he's still that guy, right?
Yeah.
He's the quarterback, and I believe they blitzed him or something like that, and Trevor Lawrence takes off down the sideline, and he's just as fast as his receivers. So that's why I had that LY, lift yourself. If you're a well-informed worker, you want to be just as skilled as the skilled workers. If you're a front team worker, you want to constantly lift yourself and get better. So that book I put out was only like 60 pages, and I put 365 lines in the book in which you can write down how you added your LY. So really just it's almost like an appetizer, not even an appetizer. So because that was such a short and quick read, that's where the podcast came in. Because what happened was I had all this set up. I was like, look, I'm going to go sell the book here. I'm going to be a vendor at this game and do all this stuff. And then there was this virus you might have heard of named coronavirus.
Great timing again.
that happened. I'm like, yo, what? Come on. I'm like, what's up, baby?
Exactly.
Like, come on. Every time I get some momentum going, you got to put some natural disaster. But anyway, we won't get on that. So what happened was, like I mentioned, I was going to Toastmasters and I had all these speeches ready to give. And then because I couldn't give the speeches live, my friend Taj, actually, you might have met Taj Deshaun.
Yeah.
He was telling me, yo, you should start a podcast. I'm like, I don't know if I got the money for it. He goes, man, that is free. Just go to anchor.com and just start recording. So I was recording and I was just putting my speeches out there for a long time. It was only like once a month. And then a former teammate of mine who, a late teammate of mine who passed away recently named Akeem, actually you might know him, Akeem Hebron. He messaged me and he goes, yo, I'm listening to your podcast, bro. And this was like one of them top dudes, like first team All-American. And he was, once he messaged me and I was like, man, Akeem is messaging me about my podcast. And I asked him to come on. And from there, I started having more guests and, my public speaking ability, my ability to do stuff like this just started to get better and better and better, and to the point where it just got addicting. Like I have over 400 and close to 430 episodes right now. And probably more of those that haven't been released yet. I mean, just constantly going at it. And the way it helps me personally, I would like it to do better when it comes to listenership, but I know that there's a lot of different podcasts and I'm not as well known yet. But what it does for me is it helps me when I go and give workshops. When I go, like what I used to do with Positive Coaching Alliance, I was a trainer for them, and I would go and give workshops on how to be better athletes, how to teach our athletes a lot better. And now I'm able to branch out on my own and as a teacher, and so many different ways that has helped me develop as a public speaker when it comes to that impromptu speaking. And that is a very important skill in entrepreneurship that a lot of people take for granted, is that your ability to be a public speaker is paramount. It's paramount because you be able to communicate exactly what you want so you don't confuse people. So that's kind of what the podcast has done for me.
Yeah, I love it. And I think the resource of podcasting, like you said, it's not only being able to build your speaking and be able to grow from that angle, but also just to be able to meet people and bring people on and share their stories. I mean,
Right.
just like what we're doing now, right? It's an opportunity to connect with someone, build a relationship, and also share a story that you think is valuable and exciting. And I think that's a really great thing for folks to be thinking about. If you're an athlete and you're interested in something, like it's free to start a podcast and start to talk to people and learn more
Mhm.
about a subject through that, or to explore something you've been trying to do on the speaking side. So I
And
love
connect
that.
and connect. Like if you see somebody that you want to work with, that's such a great first step. Hey, would you like to be on my podcast? And then you get an idea of, can you work with this person? You get an idea, can you communicate? What exactly would it be like if we were to have this conversation every day? How great would it
Totally.
be? And just, it's recorded, so go back and listen to it. Let's say the person never speaks to you again. Go back, listen to the recording, take some notes, figure out what you could do better. And then, just like in sports, get your behind back up, try again.
I love it. I love it. And I know we're close to time. I want to ask you about the NIL stuff you're doing with athletes as well before we
Mhm.
wrap up. So, did that come from speaking and the workshops, trying to help athletes kind of find their brand and their voice? Tell me a little bit about that before we close
Yeah,
out here.
that came from me, again, putting my money where my mouth is. I'm constantly talking about how athletes need to be getting better. I'm constantly talking about my college experience. I mean, I talk about this stuff literally all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
opportunity came when I was able to save up enough or be in a position where I could financially be. I mean, I'm not Dick Sporting because I'm not going to buy you a car or anything like that. But when when I was in a position with my business to where I could do something, even if it's a product only deal, I said, all right, how am I gonna help and give back to the college athletes or find another Aswand, another grinder at the collegiate level? So the way it works with me when it comes to NIL, there's two ways. There's the me doing a deal with an athlete. I do that every month. I pick an athlete of the month and I give them what I call a plus LY bundle, which is a copy of the six-figure athlete, a pair of boxing gloves, and here it is. So they get a copy of
There you
six-figure athlete,
go. Yep.
copy of Make Your Move, and then they get a pair of boxing gloves with this plus LY logo.
Love it.
So I give them that, and then I also pay them to post about the products, and then I'll pay them just to depending on the athlete, I'll pay them something so they have it, because those products are going to actually make you better. You know, I'm not a soda brand. I'm not going to tell you to go drink soda or anything like that. This is something that you should be wanting to do without me giving it to you for free. So that's what I'll do directly with the athletes. Now, recently, I've actually started working with collectives. And if you go to makeyourmove.com, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see, if you hit the shop button, you'll see that I've tweaked my shop to where if you buy certain products, a portion's going to go to certain collectives.
Okay.
So let's
Cool.
say it's the university. Actually, I spoke to the University of Maryland. The University of Maryland has a collective. They go to Make Your Move shop. They say, okay, you buy the plus LY bundle for $150. $50 goes to the collective. Just let them know that we bought it, and then that grows their fundraising efforts. And I do that deal with multiple schools.
Yeah.
Now we really figure out, just like networking, the power of networking, the power of working with certain schools, we can start to grow things.
Oh, I love it. And I think it's so awesome to see someone with your background as an athlete and understanding this world, right? Just being able to support the next generation here of kids coming out, because it's confusing and there's a lot out there. So to have like a mentor and someone that can help them with the resources you're putting together
Right.
is super awesome. So I know we're over time, but I want to just give you a chance to talk about anything coming up for you, where people can find you. I know you just mentioned Make Your Move website, but the best way for people to connect with you if they want to hire you for a workshop, or an athlete wants to find you around NIL, maybe grab a book, give us the best places to find you, and anything you want to shout out.
You just said it. MakeYamove.com. Make Your Move. It is the first hit. When you go to Google, you'll see my website is the first hit. If you Google the name Aswand Cruickshank now, there's going to be a ton of stuff that comes up. I post a video every single day on YouTube. It's over 600 videos on YouTube on me. I do podcasts. Like I said, podcast comes out 5 days a week. I try to post here as frequently as I can. LinkedIn, I'm available. And we'll get this. So I just actually joined Twitter 2 weeks ago. So because actually, it was this. I was like, man, I should probably It was working with all these collectives, and I was like, oh, I should probably join Twitter. So I'm on there, same handle, Swift
There you
_LY.
go.
Or just Google me. I'm Googleable, and you're not gonna meet another Aswand Cruickshank.
I was gonna say, I'm sure there's not too many with your name spelled the way it is. But yeah,
right.
No, we appreciate that. We will definitely plug the website, all your social handles. This was such a blast. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us. And guys, follow Aswand, go to his website.
Right.
The podcast, like he said, tons of episodes for you to go back and listen to. Every day you can listen to a new one. And definitely thanks for taking the time out, Aswand, to be here tonight.
Likewise. You guys keep doing what you're doing too, man. I'm a fan of your work as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and have a great rest of your night.
All right now.
Thanks everybody for joining. Bye.